Usually, during my openings of each episode, I take the stage to make a joke, express my anger, or make a bold, risky statement to provoke the entire fandom. Today, I'm gonna go boldly where I have not gone before. Are you ready? Here it is. I am enjoying Star Trek Starfleet Academy. This is the review of champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions a car has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, we have Merv. How are you, man?
I'm good. That opening would have meant a lot more if I had any idea what Starfleet Academy was.
Well, the privilege of not being in the online fandom discussions. That's good, man. And of course, we also have Mr. Taylor first. How are you?
I'm good.
Angry with me now or not?
I'll wait till we get to the review of that 4 years from now to let you know.
Okay. Well, this is episode 24 of the Star Trek Project, where we will be reviewing Star Trek, all of it in order of release, kind of. And today we are going to talk about Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 3. And we can all agree that was awesome. But before we do that, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you really can't get enough of us, join our ranks. Go to Sakar at sakar.freeforms.net, set up an account, get to know us, and yes, you can join us in our shows, reviews, podcasts. We would love to have you on the show. How you do that? Click on the link in the description below, and then you can set up your account. Do it. As mentioned in our Age of Ultron review, everyone should go to Sakar. As mentioned before, we will be discussing the 24 episodes of Season 2 of Star Trek Deep Space Nine today. And I deducted 2 because there are some double episodes in it, so I contracted them. Let's dive right into that. And we start off by our section Grandmaster Picks. In Grandmaster's Picks, I get to pick a few episodes which the champions have to talk about, sign off on, and, say how stupid I am for picking them or saying how awesome I am for picking them, and I expect the latter. This time I picked The Search Part 1 and 2, Improbable Cause, and The Die is Cast. I'm going to give the floor to Taylor. What did you think of these episodes?
Well, of course, The Search Part 1 and 2 is the opening of the season, and it's great. Right off the start, 2 great things are introduced in The Search. One, my favorite ship ever, the Defiant, is introduced, and Jadzia Dex's new hairdo gets introduced. And the other most important thing after that of this 2-part episode is, of course, at the end we get the reveal that the founders of the Dominion are shapeshifters like Odo. So that's why that episode is very important. And a lot of other reasons too, but it's definitely a great 2-part episode to start off a great season. And then you said the next one was which? Improbable Cause?
Improbable Cause and The Die is Cast. Basically,
yeah, those are basically
different episodes, but they're also one episode.
Yeah, they're basically a 2-part episode too, but they're fantastic. Now, you have the attempted assassination of Garrick, quote unquote. Cardassians and Romulans are planning to invade the Dominion and kill the founders. Now, after seeing this, if you look back at some of the previous episodes, there were a lot of clues and little hints dropped that something like this was going on. There was, the Cardassians were hiding something in one part of space that they didn't want anyone to see, and the Romulans were pumping Starfleet for all the information they could get about shapeshifters and the Dominion and everything. So there were a lot of hints that the Obsidian, and it's not Cardassia proper or the Romulan Empire proper. It's the Obsidian Order and the Talia Shar that are putting together this kind of side quest of their own to go and take out the founders.
Yeah.
We learn a lot about Garrick, and we learn a little bit more about Garrick and his past and where he comes from, his mentor in the Obsidian Order. Of course, the invasion does not go well. The Dominion had ears everywhere, and they were ready, and they took out the fleet, and they saw this as taking out some of their biggest threats in the Alpha Quadrant, the Obsidian Order and the Talia Shar, at least humiliating them and making them a much lesser influential force in the Alpha Quadrant. And throughout this whole show, as we build up to the later seasons, you see how the Dominion is very, very, careful and very, very methodical about weakening their enemy and poking here and there and taking things apart wherever they can and prepping the battlefield for their invasion. And this is, of course, one of the first big pieces of it. Odo gets tortured in this. Garrick tortures him, and he gives up that he really does want to go home and rejoin the other shapeshifters in the Great Link. So again, just these two episodes together are really important in setting up the future. But yeah, solid episodes all around.
Yeah, but that's why I picked them. Merv, as always, you're new to Star Trek. You're watching everything for the first time. So that also includes Deep Space Nine Season 3, which gives us the Defiant. It gives us a cloaking device on the Defiant. It gives us, like I say. So, what did you think of Season 3 before you can talk about those 2 or 4 episodes, actually?
I thought it was great in the essence of really officially establishing the Dominion as the antagonist for at least a foreseeable future. I'm a few seasons ahead of this at this moment in my watching, so I can assure you that they're still around in case anybody forgot. But yeah, I mean, this season really establishes that. I mean, there's so many like personal character journeys, but like as far as the bigger picture, they're kind of maybe mentioned and introduced at the end of season 2. And the fact that we jump right in with the search in giving us quite a bit of information about their hierarchy and the founders and Odo's backstory, kind of, or at least whose people are, which was a big mystery up to this point. I thought that was all really interesting. And just a lot to take in. Every little detail was there. And then I love that the Defiance here. I think as probably as creators, I don't know this officially, maybe you guys do, but as writers and producers of the show, them having something like the Defiant allows them to still write like classic Star Trek stories where like, oh, there's an away team and here, check out this planet or something, and filter those in sporadically. So just to have that option on the table as well as an actual like offensive, ship in their inventory, I think was an excellent choice. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
So I love the search, just for how much it gave us right out of the gate in this whole Dominion situation. And then Improbable Cause and the die is cast. If there was any question before this, because I don't remember too many big Garrick storylines. There might have been an episode or two that like I can't remember, but this officially establishes him as like one of my favorite characters and probably one of a lot of people's favorite characters in this series, just because everything about his character is so fun. Like everything about his deceptive side, just the way he speaks and carries himself, and his like self-preservation, but also like he's got morality, but you got to dig kind of deep to find it. Everything about that is interesting to me. And his pairing with Odo is like at this point especially, it feels like polar opposites, so it's like really fun to see those guys bicker and then work together and things like that. And then of course the storyline where basically, this is all just manipulation from the Dominion. Of course it is, because they're way ahead of our curve. Like as the Federation, as Alpha Quadrant or whatever, like they're already everywhere, and they're manipulating things behind the scenes. And I think this as like one of the first storylines to really highlight that. It feels like nobody learned the lesson because a few seasons later it's still the same thing of like, why this feels so obviously like the Dominion influence, but nobody is like, I guess I can't think of any real ways to check or double check because everyone's so stubborn and racially divided and things like that in this universe.
It feels like the Alpha Quadrant powers, the Klingons, Romulans, Cardassians, Ferengi, the Federation, later on the Breen. Oh, sorry, spoiler. Are playing by a certain rule book, and the Dominion has a totally different rule book, and the Alpha Quadrant needs to adjust to this new reality, basically.
Yeah, the hierarchy of the Dominion, essentially, it would be like if all of the Dominion races were just their own entity and fighting amongst themselves as much as anything else. That's essentially where Alpha Quadrant's at. In the Dominion, through probably horrible means or whatever, got their stuff together, and there's like a pecking order and an aligned goal for everyone. And if you step out of line, you're pretty much just destroyed. Not saying that's better, but it's more effective in a fight. Is the feeling that this gives off, and just the way that it all comes together, where it's like, Cardassia and Romulans, like their CIAs or whatever, are essentially starting a secret invasion, if you will, a true secret invasion of this, and then it gets cut out from under them, and is this the introduction to an Abram Tain?
No, I think he was in an episode in season 2 where Garrick had a device implanted in his head.
Okay. But he's an interesting character who shows up a couple times. So.
Yeah. In the future, we will see him again.
Mm-hmm.
But we will discuss that in a few months. But anyway, so you'll like the episodes I picked. I have a tendency for these time to pick a little bit like the overarching story episodes, but don't be held back by this. Give me a favorite episode of yours in this season, Merv.
Yes. One of, if not, aside from probably the Garrick heavy two-parter that we just discussed, might be my favorite of this season. Episode 7, Civil Defense, and it's for a few reasons, but it's the one where essentially there is a Cardassian security program that senses an uprising amongst the people, and it just continually escalates. It starts, and it feels like a classic Star Trek problem of like, systems malfunction, we'll figure it out, blah, blah, blah. But it keeps escalating as the story progresses. Every time they think they have it licked, there's some new, we saw that coming, and it's a video, I think, of Ducat, right? He pops up every time, and he's like, you can't do that, and that's funny. And then where it transcended from like really entertaining, story of the week to like really great is when Garrick gets involved. So Garrick gets in there because he's Cardassian, so maybe he knows something about it. And then that gets, outdone by the security program. And then lo and behold, like Gul Dukat shows up because he probably got an alert or something. I can't remember exactly. But when he shows up on the bridge, all suave and in control, and he's like, I got this thing. And then his own security program is like, you can't go anywhere. The security program is smarter than everyone in the room, and it won't let anyone leave, and it's essentially going to destroy the station. I thought it was just so entertaining the whole ride through, where initially I thought it was just going to be like this kind of by the numbers security problem, and it just turned into with every new escalation, it became more and more thrilling for me. So and funny at the same time, because like that Gul Dukat scene alone is worth the price of admission for this episode,
Yeah.
because he was so confident, and then he just got torn down by his own, security protocols, and I just thought that was great.
Yeah. Kardashians do have a tendency to be cocky and then get bitten in the nose or on the head, on the spoon in the head, whatever.
Yeah.
But Taylor, let's have one of your favorite episodes now.
A
Yeah,
lot of good
it's hard to
episodes.
choose.
What are the things? I don't know if it starts this season. Probably started the previous season. But if you notice, throughout the whole series, one, TNG cast members and Deep Space Nine cast members kind of take turns directing episodes, and I think that's really fun that they get to direct episodes along the way. But one good episode that is a callback to The Next Generation is the episode that's actually called Defiant, because the other Will Riker shows up, the one that we met in The Next Generation, and now he's a member of the Maquis, and he steals the Defiant by pretending to be the real, or the first, Will Riker, or the well-known Will Riker. And that's also one of those episodes where we get a little breadcrumb that the Obsidian Order is up to something. They're hiding stuff somewhere, and the Maquis is trying to convince people that they need to be more careful. All right, so that's one good episode. What was another one I wanted to mention? Explorers, where
Yeah.
Jake and Cisco get in that ancient Bajoran ship and try to fly to Cardassia, or as far as they can. It's just a fun episode to see the old ship, and to see Jake and Cisco, work together and have some father-son time. But the most
it's
important.
also yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's also but maybe I'm stealing your thunder here, where Jake comes out that he doesn't want to join Starfleet, but he wants to become a writer.
Right, Jake wants to be a writer. So that big things for Jake in this season is, one, he wants to become a writer, and he starts dating Dabo girls. So good year for Jake.
Yeah.
But the best part of the Explorers episode, it is the first time we meet Lita, the ultimate Dabo girl, and she's flirting with Bashir at this time. The other important thing about this episode is Cisco's goatee shows up for the first time.
Yeah.
And that's a little hint of things to come. It's a little hint of what was going on in television at that time, American television, especially syndicated television. Hercules: The Legendary Journeys had premiered a few months prior, and the TV movies were all the year prior, and the series premiered in January, and this came out in May. And syndicated TV and genre television, genre entertainment in general, is kind of kicking it up a notch and becoming a little bit more campy, a little bit more swashbuckly, and having a little bit more fun. And I think Cisco's goatee is just kind of a sign of that.
Okay, before you move on,
yes.
Merv may have a second episode he wants to talk about.
Sure. Another one that I really loved, probably because it feels in a lot of ways like the movie The Thing to me, was The Adversary, where there is a changeling aboard the ship and nobody knows who to trust, and I can't remember if they're essentially, like, he's tricking them into destroying the wormhole or blowing themselves up or something, but he's deceiving them in some way, and I can't remember exactly what the details were. But whenever I was like, oh, this is the thing, is there's like a blood test sequence where essentially they're like, somebody in this room's got to be a changeling. Let's do a blood test, because they figure that's the best way. And there's this whole blood test scene, which is very reminiscent of The Thing.
Yep.
And I think this was the last episode of the season.
Yep.
And the changeling itself is essentially like, kind of leaves it. It's very sinister and thrilling. But then when he leaves it off on like, we're everywhere, like that's whenever you get the idea that like the Dominion has fingers, and they're reaching out to all places. And the fact that only one of them, through misdirection, could potentially cause this entire station to be destroyed, just through deception, is an impressive thing whenever you know that there's a whole puddle of them back in the other quadrant. So
And
Yeah,
it's
I really
also
like that episode a lot.
Puddle.
it's
Yeah.
also the episode where Cisco gets promotion to captain, which is was long overdue.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got another one, Merv, before I go back to Taylor?
Uh, the only other one I wanted to mention was House of Quark.
Yeah.
It's a Klingon story. Sorry. It's a Klingon story. It's a Ferengi story, and when you mash them together, especially with Quark as the lead, it's just a lot of fun. So I had a blast with that. I think it was like the first episode of the season, or the first one after the search.
Yeah.
But it was very early on, and I remember just thinking like, "Oh, this season's going to be great," just because of that.
Yeah.
Feel free to elaborate more if you have.
Yeah, the magnificent Grilka. That's all I say. Taylor, you probably want to talk about a few more.
Well, actually, the one that I was going to talk about was the adversary, for all the reasons that Merv brought up. And just one other thing is that at the end, of course, Odo kills the other changeling, the founder, and apparently that's the first time in all of history that a shapeshifter kills another shapeshifter. And there, of course, are ramifications to that to come later. But yeah, that was really the only other one I wanted to point out.
Oh, I'm a little bit disappointed that neither of you chose to talk about uh, episode 14, Heart of Stone. That's the episode where Kira's stuck in a cave and there's a crystal growing over her. But there's another storyline in this episode which I desperately want to talk about. It's the episode
Nog
where
wants
Nog
to join. Nog wants to join Starfleet, right? That's
exactly,
that
and
yes.
the discussion between him and Cisco in the end actually brought chills to my bones. It elevated a minor side character, which was like like a juvenile delinquent, and all of a sudden this was his major step up. And wow, I will ask after 7 seasons. I will ask that major question. Forget about Kirk versus Picard, Garrick or Nog. What is your favorite character? Think about it. You have 4 months' time. But it elevated that character to a height that I did not foresee at that point in my watch of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. Also in that episode, of course, we all already knew it, but Odo confesses his love for Kira.
Yeah. I feel for Odo, but torn between home and a woman.
I do think that. I mean, this might be the moment where I was like, I think Nog is definitely more interesting than Jake at this point, because up until then they're kind of like the same. They do everything together, and then maybe it was before this, but this is where I was like, oh, Nog actually has ambitions and personality and stuff like that. So I definitely, I remember this B story. And I also enjoyed Odo in this, even though the Kira stuff is like, like, get over it.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Kira,
Exactly.
including me. I love Kira too. But
Kira has a tendency to pick the impossible guy. They're all either dying or they don't have time for her, or they choose to live on another planet at a certain moment.
And most of them are Bajoran religious leaders.
Or
who don't
political
very
leaders
long for some reason.
Or political leaders. Her first boyfriend was almost Guy. The second one is her resistant leader, and then later becomes the prime minister of Bajor.
Played by Duncan Rager, by the way, who was on The Next Generation, and a different character. He was the horny ghost that was screwing all of the Doctor's ancestors.
You had to bring up Sub Rosa. You had to do it. Oh my god. But but there are so much more great episodes. I mean, we didn't even talk about Past Tense, which was a double episode, which of course played in 2024, and they were not so far off with their prediction in this case. There's so much to talk about.
Doesn't Cassidy Yates get introduced in this season also?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Because Cisco has reservations about dating a freighter captain. Well, she's a lot more than a freighter captain, but we will find out later. But yeah, overall, a great season, progressing the story a lot, setting up the future further, and I think it will only make you more exciting to continue your watch, right, Merv?
Hmm. Absolutely. One that I wanted to mention because I was kind of it was funny. I looked up some things and I don't know if this episode is all that well received, but I had a lot of fun with it. Was Fascination, which where Luxwan Troy shows up
Oh
and
yeah,
every all of a sudden everybody is like in love with somebody they never would have been in love with otherwise.
yeah.
Um, as like a really kind of a throwaway episode, I found the new interesting potential chemistry between characters like really fun to watch in
Mhm.
action where some of it's one-sided, some of it was mutual, like with Kira and Bashir. But
Yeah,
I just as like one that wasn't real plot heavy or had no real overarching storylines or anything like that. I had fun with it, but in a lot of the rankings, I saw it ranked like at or near the bottom of this season. And I'm like, yeah, it's not like The Search or Improbable Cause, but like it was still entertaining for an hour. You know what I mean?
mm,
So I wanted to throw it out there as potentially a hot.
yeah, no, absolutely, Pelder joy to you, Merv. As you know, every at the end of this review series for Deep Space Nine, I'm going to ask you all to list your top 10 episodes of Deep Space Nine. And my question every month is, Merv, do you think any episode in season 3 is potentially making your top 10 list?
I think there are quite a few potential. I say that because with every new season I watch, I'm like, oh well, there's so many in this season that could potentially make this. So I know I've been saying it since like season one, but like, yeah, this season has a few that could wind up making the cut by the end of these. What is it? 7 seasons overall, right?
Yeah, 7 seasons
Yeah,
overall. So
yeah,
one for each season is possible, but
yeah. We'll see if I'm probably a liar, but we'll see. We'll find out in a couple months.
yeah. So Taylor, you are a little bit more aware of what's to come.
Yeah.
Do you think one of these episodes can make your top 10 list? One of these episodes from season 3, I mean.
Uh at this point, it's gonna be tough because there's just so many great episodes, and it's gonna take me a long time to narrow it down to 10. We are allowed to count two-part episodes as one, right?
I will give you permission to say, okay, the search or past tense, you can count as one. But
Okay.
like, what did we discuss today?
Improbable
Improbable
cause.
cause and the Dice cause. No, those are two separate episodes.
All right. So
They don't
there's a
have the same episode title.
every season has a chance of making my top 10 list, but at this point, I would say it's going to be tough to get one of the ones from this season into the top 10.
Yeah, it's a great season, but
Hmm.
yeah, if you let's just say if we were to do this, like you can contract episodes that are like feel like one episode. The last 10 episodes of season 7 is one episode,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that would not be fair. So you need to choose. If they have the same title, you can contract them, but if they
Okay.
don't, I will not allow this. So you need to choose.
All right.
And
We'll
yeah,
figure it out.
and again, it's March, so you guys are looking at basketball, college basketball, so you can do the March Madness bracket thing.
It's a good idea, actually.
Yeah, actually, it is.
That will conclude this month's episode of the Star Trek Project. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, you can help us out liking and sharing this review and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really want more of us, you can join our forum at sacardofreeforums.net. We would love it if you do that. Episode 25 of the Star Trek Project, we will be discussing Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 4. Who knew? Who saw that coming? But that will be a month from now. But in the meantime, you can watch a new episode in our Infinity Saga series. It is out right now. Age of Ultron. We discussed it. Yes, and a little bonus as well. And soon we will be reviewing Daredevil Born Again Season 2 and Maul Shadow Lord. For now, I thank you all, also on behalf of our champions, and wish you to live long and prosper. Bye.